Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's show. Dyla admits Celtic could lose the league. McInnes believes Aberdeen can take the title race right down to the wire. And McGee says the derby record counts for nothing. That's just a few of the talking points on tonight's programme. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. I'm delighted that we have as our bookroom guest the former Hearts manager and Celtic coach Stevie Frail joins us on the programme. Delighted to have you with us, Stevie. Lots to talk about, guys, on tonight's programme, especially with last night's results in mind. In the end, Aberdeen closed the gap to 4 points, Ruffy, because Celtic couldn't get past Dundee. It ended up blank scoreline 0-0.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the night, you know, when the Celtic saw the Dundee team lines, obviously Paul had said he was going to tinker with the team, but to leave out Stewart, Hemmings, you know, it's everybody would have thought Celtic would have won that one, but all credit to Dundee. They put up a good show and possibly could have snatched it in the end, just there with a header, which Celtic were very lucky that he missed the target.
Yeah, suddenly, Stevie Frail, we've got a title race on our hands between these two teams, something that I think we've all been crying out for in Scottish football, but I don't think anybody expected it.
No, you're right. It's been a rough sort of couple of weeks for Celtic, not getting the wins that they probably should have got. Everyone expected them to get, but you're right, it's a title race. We want a title race. I think everyone thought it should have been done and dusted by now. Yep,
and Ruffy, no matter how many times they announce the crowd, there are a lot of empty seats at Celtic, a lot of unhappy Celtic supporters. This is what Ronnie Dyla had to say today. Obviously, there was an admission last night, if they keep playing the way they do, they could lose the league title to Aberdeen. And again, it was a rallying cry today saying that they should stick together.
Situation is that we're 4 points ahead. We have 10 games left. It's a lot to play for. We can see the end now, and we can see a trophy there. And that's what we want, but that you have to have performance to do. And the performance we had now lately is not good enough to get the points we need to have. So that's the most important thing now. Get back on track, and I really understand the fans. But it's also important to understand that we need to do this together, and I know the fans know that.
He's asked the fans, Ruffy, to stick with him. I think the fans have lost him.
Yeah, at this moment in time, the way things are going, I think the fans are very anxious in what's going to happen in the run-in. A lot of them haven't been in that position for a long, long time. Celtic are usually winning the league by 10, 12, 15 points or whatever. So it's going to be a very nervous run-in for them. But I still think, you know, Old Firm supporters, when things aren't going particularly well, they do group together, but he certainly needs some performances on the park, and he needs players to start playing the kind of the form they had at the beginning of the season.
Just on that point, Ruffy, he's boxed himself in, the chief executive Peter Lawwell. He says the Celtic back managers, they don't sack them. He doesn't really have any options now. He's now backing a horse that many think is lame in this run-in, and he's hoping that he can stumble over the line.
Yeah, well, obviously he's come out and said, like, winning the league's a priority, but I think the Celtic supporters and the bosses will want more than that. They'll want at least a double. I don't think they'll do anything now. It's far too down the line now to do anything drastic. So he will be there to the end of the season, so he'll be hoping that he can have a big improvement and end up with at least a double.
Yep. Obviously there are a few crisis meetings. Here's Ronnie's record so far over the course of the season. It doesn't make good reading for any of the Celtic fans. Those defeats and draws have been killing Celtic, not only at home but across Europe. The Champions League was a failure, couldn't get there. Europa League next, and then of course that loss to Ross County in the semi-finals. You know, if you're going to cut him any slack at all, Stevie, they're 4 points clear at the top of the table, regardless of the resources they have. What do you think he needs to do with that squad that he has available?
I think they need to get back to the way they were playing, obviously. Certainly last season, I said to you before that it took a while for the players to sort of buy into his philosophy and the way he wanted to play. Once they got that, I thought Celtic were a good side, are a good side, still a very good side with good players. I think, for me, the turning point's the Ross County game. You know, comfortable in the game, sending off, and the whole momentum, not just of that game to lose the semi-final, but the whole momentum for me for the season changed, and it's been a little bit of a lull since then. It's important they get back to winning ways and quickly.
Yep, one of the former Celtic players was out speaking today ahead of a crucial Scottish Cup tie for Celtic as well. Tommy Johnson was part of a title-winning side, and of course he's well aware of the pressure the manager is under. He played in a side that lost out to Inverness Cally Thistle on a dark day for Celtic fans and the team.
I was sat at home watching it on the telly at the time, you know. It was horrible, you know. Obviously the club aren't going through that at the minute. What we went through, that was probably one of the lower points of your time at Celtic. It was, you're expected to win the game, you know, and you're not. And obviously the headlines come out the next morning, and then the manager at the time's left as well. It's a pretty bad place to be, but as I said, you've just got to rise above it and get through it.
Yep. Do the players have the mental strength in your mind, Ruffy? I think Stevie, we were talking to him prior to it, there's a key player that's missing in all of this. Scott Brown hasn't helped matters not having him in the middle of the park.
No, I think it's come to the stage now that for the past 3 or 4 weeks, Lee Griffiths has been the main man and playing up there himself. He hasn't had that much support from the midfield. The midfield aren't chipping in with goals at all, so the pressure's been on him, and he's the man that's kept him in the running. But I still think that they're fortunate they've got a home game the weekend there. But I think, unfortunately, the manager's put himself in a situation that I don't think he could afford another Inverness Cally. You know, and Morton would be an Inverness Cally if that was to happen at the weekend.
Yep. Let's look at the positives in the Scottish game. Aberdeen, a 1-0 win against Dundee United. It was one of those double-edged swords last night. Aberdeen wanted to keep the pressure on. Dundee United can see the trap door opening to the Championship as well. I know a lot of Aberdeen players and pundits have been mentioning the loss of Rooney. Rooney certainly wasn't too worried about it. He was singing the praises in this tweet of Simon Church. Yes, to his roommate, he's at it again, and Church seems to have just slipped in easily into that striking role, Stevie.
Yeah, and it's great for Aberdeen, with Rooney being such a important, integral part of their team, for him to be missing out at a vital stage of the season. There's not many players. You mentioned Griffiths. If Griffiths maybe falls out of the Celtic team at the minute, you've obviously got Kazim Richards, one or two others that can come in, but vital players. Rooney falls out of the Aberdeen side through injury, and Church goes in and still bangs in the goals, which is keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, in a strange sort of way, Derek McInnes, the expectation now is incredible. Even if they don't win it, I think there's tremendous positives to be taken from getting a side so close.
Oh, that must be. You know, it's been a good appointment from Aberdeen a few years back, bringing Derek McInnes in, you know, and the cup success, how well they've done in the league. And they've had little dips, but they've come back again as an important win against Dundee United, and I'm sure they'll take it right to the wire.
Yeah, the belief must be going right throughout that squad now. If they can get a run going now, Ruffy, this is the time to do it. This is the time to really crank it up.
Yeah, and I've said all along that if I was in Aberdeen, I'd be wanting to hold on to Celtic till the split. Because once the split comes, there's 3 teams in there who are capable of beating each other, include Hearts and that as well. So there's 15 points up for grabs, and if you can go on some kind of run in the split, who knows? Yeah,
Stevie, Ruffy and myself, you'll not be surprised to find out are having a real ding-dong battle about Dundee United. As you can see from the table here, at the bottom end, I've just mentioned that I do not believe they can turn it around. Do you see any shafts of light or optimism now?
I think you always need to hang on to that little bit of hope that you can get out of it. You know, I mean, 8 points is a lot. You know, if you take something against Aberdeen, especially with Kilmarnock not picking up points, then you've got a chance. There's still good players there, as Alan mentioned about Aberdeen keeping a hold of Celtic and into the split. It'll be the same for Dundee United. They need to make sure that they've got a chance when they go into the last 5 games to try and turn it around. But it will be very difficult for them at this stage of the season. Yeah,
Ruffy, I did mention to you that if they had taken points last night, I might have started to believe. I'm now back in my camp that they're going down, and it's any one from 3 in the playoff.
Yeah, well, I think they will be disappointed they never at least took a point out of the game. I don't think it was a one-sided game. They had chances at specific times in the game to get something, but I still, again, as Stevie said there, it's a split for me. It's playing against Motherwell, Hamilton, you know, teams that they'll think they can take 6 points out of, and that could just turn everything around.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, there's lots of games to get Stevie's thoughts on. We'll also find out what Stevie's doing at the moment and what his hopes and ambitions are for the future. And we're going to talk Scottish Cup as well. Robbie, who did you tip to win the Scottish Cup?
I think I had Celtic.
Yep, okay.
Took a chance.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. I make no bones about telling you, I took a chance and said Hearts were going to win it, and look what happened there, as more than a few thousand Hibs fans reminded me of that. We're going to talk Scottish Cup at the weekend, as well as some very important league games across all 4 divisions in the SPFL. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. I'm delighted that the ex-Hearts boss and Celtic coach Stevie Frail is here with us. We're going to talk Hearts next with Stevie and get his thoughts on the current regime. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. Stevie Frail is our boot-room guest this evening. Delighted to have him with us. Ruffy, a word for your old team, Partick Thistle. Another good win away from home against a St Johnstone side that, you know, they just collapsed.
Yeah, all credit to Alan Archibald, you know, that he was a team that weren't getting regular games there. The 3 games postponed, and while everybody else round about him was picking up points, they were beginning to slide down the table. But he's got the win, and now all they're doing is looking up the way. They're trying to get into the top 6, and you'd have to say, with the games in hand they've got, if they could win a couple of them, they will be in the top 6. It's just I feel really happy for him, because the last 2 or 3 years he's been having the pressure of down there and been able to having to turn it on at the last moment, and it's a long year when you're down the bottom of that league, so maybe the players can relax a wee bit now.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure Alan Archibald will be telling them to buy into that. I think the thing about it is he's got other players now chipping in as well as Doolan scoring goals. One of them was a wee bit of a soft goal last night, but you know, at the end of the day, he raced into a 2-goal lead.
I heard his interview after the game. He sounded really pleased and delighted with the result. I think especially after the game on Saturday. I was at the game against Motherwell, and I don't think that's the performance that he would have expected from his team. I think his own admission, they were poor against Motherwell, but a fantastic result. Really tough place to go up to Perth and get a result. You know, obviously 2-0 up, they lose the goal, but they hang on and get the win, which is a vital win for him. I'm sure he will be looking towards top 6, but he'll still have that wee eye over his shoulder to see what's coming up behind him.
Yeah. What do you make of your old team, Hearts, Stevie? We were complimenting them yesterday off the field. I think the PR, the leadership from Ann Budge, everything seems to be handled perfectly. On the pitch, 3rd in the table easily. I mean, even Gavin Riley today, in a positive sense, has said he reckons they could catch Aberdeen.
That'll be tough, you know, but they've had a fantastic season with a young manager who I think only was a year and a half, if that, at under 20 level, you know, learning his trade. But he's got someone upstairs if he needs a little bit of advice, and Craig Levine, one of the best ones I've worked with in terms of organisation, coaching and his knowledge of the game. So I'm sure Robbie will be tapping into that. But for a young manager to win the league last season, have them in the position that they are this season, is great. It's great for Scottish football to have Hearts back up the top.
Yep, and of course in the background, apart from people obviously talking about some of the good Scottish players, they seem to have not a bad budget, Stevie. That, you know, they're always looking to try and just nick and add a player, whether he's out of contract in America or somewhere else. They're always adding the odd player that maybe nobody has seen, and they've picked them up under the radar. Yeah,
they've added quality, you know, and the 2 lads that used to be at Dundee United, Wabin and Gomez. Obviously Gomez has gone to Motherwell, but quality players. Gavin Riley up front. I've seen Hearts a few times this season. That's the more I see Gavin, he's improving every week at that level. So as I say, a fantastic season for Hearts, and long may it continue. They can maybe try and push Aberdeen right to the end of the season.
Is it unfair that sometimes people think they're a little bit physical and direct? Is there more to them?
I think there's a lot more to them. I think they've got good young players as well, good young Scottish players. The young lad Nicholson, who I like, and for me last night I was at the game against their game midweek there, that they go and win comfortably, and the young lad Jamie Walker was excellent, you know. So they've got good players right throughout their team, so I'm sure they'll keep it going.
Yep, you had good times there. What about now? What are you? I mean, it's difficult enough trying to get back into the game. What are your hopes at the moment and your availability?
Well, available for work at the minute. I left Celtic just in September there, and you hope the phone will ring, and it doesn't invariably ring as much as you would like, you know. But one of the first phone calls I got was from Neil Lennon, invite me down and he's gave me a job scouting player recruitment. So that's got me out of games. I'm at tons of games. I cover Scotland and the north east of England for him. Obviously tough at the minute with no money available to bring players in, but I really appreciate the opportunity that Neil gave me. But I'm just trying to get back into a coaching capacity, because that's what you do. You miss it, and I hope it can happen quite soon.
Yeah, and at what level? Because obviously, I think once you get the bug of being the manager and in control, I mean, I don't think you would limit yourself to any division. You'd be happy to, you know, use all your experience to give it a go and prove the point to people.
Without a doubt, you know, I was at Hearts for 6 months, and if I'm being honest, the position of manager just arrived at me because of the situation at the club. The club was in turmoil at the time, you know, and you were just talking about it. It's great to see that that's all behind him now. But I would love the chance to go in as a number one somewhere, but I wouldn't just sort of pigeonhole me into that and say that's where I'm going to be. It could be another under-20 job, an academy job, something just to get back on the training ground and do what that I've done since having finished playing. So I don't know a great deal else.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're undoubtedly in the next 20 years going to write a book about the madness of that 6 months at Hearts. It would be a red hot seller.
It would be nice to write it, but the clauses that they spoke about, they are true. Although I didn't actually sign one, they didn't make me sign a clause. But I think that's in the past now. And as I say, hopefully I can get back. And there's only so much cooking you can do in the house, you know, and housework, and that is probably most guys you've had in here who have lost their job for that is soul destroying. But hopefully I can get back in soon.
Yeah, well, from everybody here on the Football Show, we certainly hope so as well. Still lots to talk about. Stevie Frail is our guest, and if you're a chairman or a chief executive out there, he's available. Ruffy, Motherwell, Mark McGee's been having a chat. It's hard to believe that Motherwell haven't won at New Douglas Park in 7 years. He's getting ready for the derby. He was having a chat to the assembled members of the press this morning. They're starting to look as if they've got the ability. Sometimes they have a wee setback, but I still maintain I can't see them being involved in a playoff.
No, I can't either. The way you look at the experience that they've got, you know, but they, like everybody else, need to get that wee run, a couple of wins, you know, to take them away from the pressure. I would have thought that Mark would have been playing on the majority of the players who had been there who went through it all last year, and they don't want to go back there again. Nobody wants to go through that scenario. Your whole livelihood's at stake and everything, contracts. So you would think that the players there would learn from that year and try and get away from the bottom of the league.
Are there any surprises in the bottom end, or one in particular you think might be involved in the playoff if we are all operating on the fact that Dundee United?
No, I think that the table as it stands now is maybe how it will finish, especially in terms of the bottom two.
Yeah.
You know, I still think Dundee United have got a little bit of hope, and they'll try and claw into that and try and reel Kilmarnock in. You know, but as I say, Motherwell, I think it'll be an interesting game on Saturday against Hamilton. Hamilton off the back of the result against Celtic. Motherwell after the good win against Partick Thistle. So it sets up a great Lanarkshire derby.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you can maybe give us your take on this, Stevie. Scott McDonald has said, you know, apart from the artificial surface argument, we'd like to see a bit of summer football. He thinks that shift would help our game as well. Everybody's throwing their tuppence worth in. What's your take on the artificial surface argument that's going on?
Not a fan. No, I'm not a fan of the artificial surface. I know that it's used a lot in the continent. A lot of the kids use it at academies, not just in Scotland, but obviously abroad as well. But for me personally, I don't like it. I think it's for want of a better phrase, like a false game on it. You know, and I don't enjoy watching games on it. You know, I know the benefits. You can see the benefits. Clubs can use it to train on full time. But for me, I think it'd be better with grass all the time.
Yeah, Ruffy. I'm quite happy with Scott McDonald to suggest summer football. I've been a fan of that forever and a day. When I think of some of the cold places we've watched players and fans have to watch it in very difficult conditions.
Yeah, but I think more and more people are now talking about it. You know, it just needs the powers of be to get round the table and discuss it and see how we can fit it in, because I mean, we've just saw the weather in the last 2 months there. It's not, I mean, as a spectator, full credit to them turning up at games, but I think we certainly need to come up with some idea.
Yeah, and just to finish, Ruffy, we've been talking about it for the last week. It's been a burning issue with regards to a European Super League, some kind of breakaway. The English clubs had a secret chat, certainly the 5 top clubs, and doesn't seem to be an appetite from England for a European Super League. And I'm not quite surprised by that, because they're actually playing in a Super League as it stands with the money they're taking in.
Yeah, they certainly are. I think they're taking in more money than all the other countries that are wanting it. So, I mean, they're in a happy place at this moment in time, and I think that's good for us. If they're not interested in it, then it helps us.
Yeah, it would be a blow if clubs from other countries that are not a part of the top 5 countries can't get to a Champions League, Stevie. Surely that's what it's all about, this game.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I didn't think that the idea will go much further than just that initial chat with the 5 big clubs. I hope not. You know, you like your domestic leagues and that carrot at the end of the season for Europe. It gives clubs a chance to aspire to that. You know, team, look at the season Leicester's had. I'm sure they weren't in those discussions. You know, and if they don't get Champions League, if that gets done away with, I don't know. But after the season they've had, they should be getting a real opportunity going to the Europe next season.
Yep. Okay, that's just about it from the football show tonight. Join us on Sports Week tomorrow night. We'll look at other sports as well. We'll be getting Ruffy and Hugh McDonald's thoughts on all sports, including, of course, the majority of the programme dedicated to the weekend football in the league, and, of course, the Scottish Cup and the Barclays Premier League as well. Good luck to Stevie in his search for a job from Ruffy and myself. Thanks for watching.